It's when you can do it, do it. No, the paper straws. We were first. Actually, I must say I'm a bit sad that we continue to be the only ones. So no criticism of my fellow competitors, but yeah, come on, yeah, go jump into the paper straw wagon.
Welcome everyone to another session of CEO2CEO. This morning, Juan from Nestle is with me. And firstly, thank you for joining us at the exchange.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, a few icebreaker questions.
Sure.
Hot or cold Milo?
Up to you. Milo is great in whatever form. Hot, cold, with ice, without ice. I have it croissant.
I'm more of an espresso pod kind of guy.
It's fine. I'm also happy with that.
Morning or evening?
Oh, actually through the day. Normally I would be a coffee person in the morning, probably also an espresso, and through the day maybe I have one or two Milos to re-energize, recharge batteries.
Favorite Malaysian food?
Oh, maybe I'm quite a fan of roti canai in its forms, beef rendang, really nothing like that. Roti telur, I don't know, I could go on.
Now, this probably won't happen very often, but if you had a free hour in the day, what would you do?
Dive.
Oh, you're a diver?
Yeah, but I need more than 1 hour, obviously, no?
Yeah, clearly.
But yeah, it's probably...
How deep?
Not, to enjoy it most, probably 18 to 20 meters.
I'm envious. I can only snorkel, can't equalize.
Okay.
How do you turn a bad day into a good day?
Okay, I think that you always need to keep a bit of a positive spirit, because obviously in our job there are bad days, there are things that do not go as planned, but always, yeah, when that happens, always focus on what is the solution, what you need to do, and keep confidence. No, in my case, I'm privileged because I have a great team, and when that happens, also I know where to find advice, no, to solve whatever is the issue.
Best advice you've been given, one?
I have had many. I think never confuse performance and capability. Because performance is something that happens today, but maybe you are not responsible for. Somebody else did it for you. Capability is what you will leave as a legacy.
Yeah,
so be humble on the performance and focus on getting capability for whoever comes after you.
That is very good advice. And durian. Yes or no?
Okay, I can have a bite. I can have a bite. I'm not fully into it. My colleagues have been very hardly trying, but yeah, success is limited. I like the smell. I can cope the smell. The taste, I'm not there.
It's actually very interesting. I mean, we digress, dear audience. It's binary. You either love it or hate it, but you must be...
I cannot hate it.
So there is hope.
When so many Malaysians love it, there must be something
True.
I'm missing. So I just need to keep trying.
Nestle, let's get into more serious matters. Nestle clearly places ESG as a priority in its business. It's quite clear. Processes anchored to create shared value framework, or CSV. Can you walk us through this and how does that shape the company's strategy and operations moving forward?
Actually, I would say this very humbly, but Nestle is ESG. For over 160 plus years, the way we have been building the business, even before anybody would talk about ESG, was this mindset that whatever we do has to be good for the business, but has to be also good for the society as a whole. That's why for so many years, I remember in Europe in very early days, we were developing milk collection districts. So we were creating business and capability for local farmers in regions that were quite isolated, no? And that, over the years has continued to advance. As ESG became more of an structured framework with clear needs, and when climate change also added this factor of urgency, I think that we were at the front making commitments to really contribute to change, no? And actually, what I'm very happy is that at Nestle, not just here in Malaysia, but also globally, we don't just talk about it. Actually, we do many things. Things that make us very, very proud. And we can talk in detail about them.
No, it's excellent. I mean, one of the key challenges we have at the exchange is, of course, Nestle. You help us in our journey, greening supply chain, and getting that message across. We often have a lot of pushback. And just rolling back the clock a little bit, wearing your hat as CFO, ESG, cost or investment. Now, I say it's an investment, but when I talk to smaller businesses, they often say, well, it's just merely a cost. But that's clearly not my view. But rather than myself, what are your thoughts?
I think it's an investment that sometimes comes with a cost. We have to accept it. And I also understand that small, medium-sized companies may have some additional challenge because, we as a multinational company have the benefit of a lot of talent here that can help shape all these issues, but we also have our international network. No? For any topic, I can find an expert with a phone call. I know that's a privilege that many companies do not have. So I think that for companies like us, it's also the element of scale. I can make you the example, which is not here, but when we adopted paper straws, we said, one of the more pervasive and annoying single-use plastics is the plastic straw. Because it's small, once you throw it, you can collect it, and we know it does damage to wildlife in the oceans. So we said, we go paper straw. And it came, when we did it, it was about 3 times the cost of the plastic straw, because there was not a supply market organized to supply in the quantities that we need. But a few months later, we had many suppliers jumping on the board and supplying to us. And with the scale came also a little bit of cost advantage. So today, they are still a bit more expensive, but not that much expensive versus plastic. So I think to companies like ours, falls the responsibility of initiating change and mobilize the value chain and make this capability available for more. No, I can tell you, for instance, during COVID, there was a lot of struggles and a lot of problems to solve. And we had an interest in our suppliers being able to operate, because if they couldn't produce, we couldn't produce. So we did a lot of effort to educate them on safe production practices, on hygiene, on SOPs that would minimize the risk of big clusters at the workplace. So we know it's a responsibility. We take it as an investment, but we also take that it is for companies with a scale to also be a bit the pioneers that lead the way.
Nestle is embedded in Malaysia. It's been here for 110 years.
Yep.
You've been here for a little less than that, of course. Yep. But how have you found Malaysia?
I think it's a great country. I mean, my colleagues know that this is not just saying because I'm in Malaysia, not really. I think it's a combination of factors. I love, in particular, the cultural diversity, the heritage, the multiple heritage of the population. How, in spite of having all these differences, the country finds a way to move forward, to make progress. The positive attitude of Malaysians is something that I love. I come from a part of the world that I also love, but in general, you feel that the future is going to be worse than the past. No, that's a feeling very, very kind of extended. Here, you feel that still people has confidence in the future, people is striving to do better. It's a very young country that also gives a positive energy, a positive vibe. And it's safe, has very good infrastructures, is very well located geographically, and also as a company like us, we need skills, we need talent, and we find that Malaysia also generates sufficient talent, to run a complex operation like ours, and also, let me say, also to send talent abroad. We have also over the years many Malaysians have had either as factory managers, technical managers. We have now for instance, in South Asia, the public affairs person is a Malaysian lady. So we have also exported a lot of talent.
I mean, people and talent. I think it's probably a good time to ask this question. What is it like to work at Nestle?
I mean, I've been 32 years at Nestle, so probably I'm a little bit biased.
Cross my mind.
I think it's a great place. Firstly, it's a place where you can do, it's like working for many different companies even being just in one company, because you have so many opportunities to develop in many different ways that makes it very exciting. So I never had a single day bored at Nestle. And then there is this element of diversity, so you get to work with people from any part of the world. It's a very inclusive culture by design, but also by conviction, and also happens naturally, that because we are used to have people just moving around, and that creates a natural understanding of cultures and collaboration. We want to make Nestle also more attractive for young people, because that today talent attraction and talent retention is a challenge, because especially in Asia, there are many opportunities, and also young people is evolving on what they expect to build as a career. So for us in particular, now an important mission is to make Malaysia, in addition to being a diverse, inclusive, a place that is attractive for young talent to choose and to stay and develop a career. And obviously, all this, we believe a lot in, we have very strong governance and everything that has to do with transparency, governance. So we have very limited tolerance for, misbehavior. Yeah. We have also multiple channels for people to report any situation, like a speak up line and others. So I think it's great. A great place to work and develop a career.
No.
But I'm biased.
Well, as the CEO, we would hope you are biased. Now, clearly, there's a feel-good factor when we think of Nestle, not just for the CEO, but for all of us, particularly when we look at the Milo packaging. As one of the largest food and beverage manufacturers, Nestle's strategy in underpinning by its nutrition, health and wellness strategy, well, clearly there's an element of responsible behaviour here. How did this evolve and how's it being executed?
Maybe it all goes to the origin. We cannot forget Nestle started with Henry Nestle realizing that there was a very high mortality rate in the region of Switzerland where he was living, and developing that kind of very basic formulation that would be a complement for children that didn't have enough nutrition, through breastfeeding, which we always say is the best option, as long as it works for the mom and for the baby. And it evolved from there. I think that what we are very clear, we call ourselves, a nutrition, health and wellness company. And what we try is to make, for sure, our products impeccable from the point of view of quality. So Malaysians and people in any part of the world know that it's money well invested because of the care that we put in our production processes and our quality controls, etc., etc. But also it's about this, bringing something in terms of nutrition, just, Milo is also meeting different needs, We have, I will not bombard you with all the different solutions that we have, but even a brand very mainstream like Milo also understands that maybe when you are aging, you may need more fiber, So you develop solutions that are more targeted to people that may have a lack of fiber. We have this milk omega that is enriched with esterols, and actually it's a proven way of fighting cholesterol if you have it a little bit there. In the context of Malaysia, what we focus more and more is acknowledging, Malaysia has an issue of non-communicable diseases triggered by maybe love for makan, but maybe for insufficient healthy lifestyles, and healthy inactivity, So it's more about, what products, what solutions can we bring, So we have these milks that are good if you have cholesterol, you have multiple products that help you with fiber, also a lot of micronutrients that are enriching our recipes, all the way to, we have this Nestle Health Science portfolio that is more kind of, when you have particular deficits, it's more kind of close to a medicalized nutrition, So this is a big driver, We also understand the question I get, but how then, why you sell ice cream or why you sell confectionery? But the reality is that also these categories play a role, Wellness is also mental, is your mood, and these foods can play a role, obviously, as long as they are consumed responsibly, which that's one element that we always emphasize.
Now, I'm just looking. I've actually tried this product, Harvest Gourmet, and I'm excited. It's a new production facility in Selangor, and it's in line with the mission of Nestle: good food, good life. So Can you walk us through a little bit about the journey in bringing Harvest Gourmet to Malaysia and the exciting journey you had with the team? And I think the real message is ESG can be fun and can be challenging.
Yes.
And so we could wrap that around
I totally
this new
agree.
exciting product.
Again, firstly, there is obviously a consumption trend that initiates in the US with the famous Beyonds and Impossibles and all that. But clearly it starts from understanding a fundamental truth that 10 billion people in the planet cannot be fed the way we are feeding the population is nourishing in the US or Europe, no? Because in terms getting the protein needs of the population through a meat-based diet is impossible, no? From a planetary perspective. So what options do we have? And then is where we started in this journey, which is also evolving, no? Initially, this was about replicating beef burgers. And making them the difference unnoticeable. Honestly, that's less and less, especially in Asia, where you have a very rich culinary culture and people knows ingredients and, you know, people is used to cooking. It's more, you know, it needs to start with the taste. We're having products that taste good. And then you need, when you have conquer on the taste, you need to explain why these products are better. Firstly, from a nutritional standpoint, the big advantage of plant-based is that it's zero cholesterol and it's very low fat or close to zero. Also, salt content is very similar to meat, and we are trying also to keep it low. So nutritionally, it's a better proposition. And then, but I think that's still early in the journey because I don't think that's still a big factor on the purchase decision. There is the reality that to do 1 kilo of protein from plant-based product, you need about 5% of the water. You generate about 5% of the CO2 emissions of getting the same kilo from an animal protein source, especially if that is beef. So it's an education, it's a slow journey, so it will take time. So we were chosen to have this factory, again, because Malaysia remains an attractive place for investment. We announced our results for Q4, and there we mentioned we have just renewed our next investment cycle that will bring about 1 billion ringgit over the next 3 years to Malaysia. And it's just a reconfirmation that Malaysia is a place that we see globally as a good place to build business, and also because of the halal kind of certification from Jakim, which is very, very stringent. It's also a big enabler for exports to other parts of the world where halal compliance is very important. But for sure, this is exciting. I have a very young team driving this category. They have a very exciting pipeline of products coming, some of them to be launched very, very soon. And yeah, data is great. And once you adopt them, one thing is, first is trying and then adopting. And then it becomes very easy to integrate. I can tell you that we have these products, any of the range, probably 2-3 times a week. No, it's convenient and easy to use and great taste. Sorry for the ad.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I've tried it myself. And more importantly, and I just like to pick up on something Juan said, is Nestle is a part of the fabric of Malaysia, but is also listed. And so I do encourage viewers who happen to be CEOs of MNCs that are not listed, please share your company with Malaysian investors.
Yeah,
that's my plug.
No, I think it's.
And now let's move on to the environment. Committed to 100% renewable energy in 2022. That's quite a commitment. Well, we're now in 2023, so I'm sure you made it. Tell us about that journey.
Actually, our original commitment, it's also about agility. And you know, whenever you have the opportunity, go for it. No? So our original plan was to have 100% renewable energy by 2025. But then in, I think it was September, October 2021, the government launched the green electricity tariff. And before knowing how much it would cost, we go. We do it. And actually, I'm very proud that we were part of the 9 initial signatories of the green electricity tariff when it was launched. And yeah, so basically we took it 100%. So yeah, we managed to advance a commitment like that by 3 years.
Yeah, no, I think there are a lot of conversations about ESG and the glide path to net zero, but it's like investing. The more you do up front, the less effort you need at the back end. And, and all kudos to Nestle in leading that way. 100% recyclable packaging by 2025? On track?
I think we are on track. There are also on plastic, which obviously has been very denigrated as an item, but we also need to acknowledge it plays a role because, it protects food.
Yeah.
It ensures the organoleptic, but also the pure quality of the product. If you don't have proper barrier effect, what could happen is that the product basically gets wasted much sooner. So you could avoid the plastic problem, but have a huge issue of food waste. So we are very mindful that whatever we do in terms of plastic transition needs always to meet the quality and protect the product. So that's why sometimes, we are already at 90+%, but we still have a residue of elements that, we need to really find still the solution to make sure that the product is not affected. But it's, when you can do it, do it. No? The paper straws, we were first. Actually, I must say I'm a bit sad that we continue to be the only ones. So no criticism of my fellow competitors, but come on. Go jump into the paper straw wagon.
As I've often been, in different forums, I've often said, do not talk. Because it has to be catalytic, because you have to walk the talk. Now, Nestle enjoys or has nurtured strong partnerships for many Malaysians. They remember the Milo van at school. More recently, you've been working with municipal councils on recycling. How do you leverage on partnerships to promote ESG within and, more importantly, beyond the business?
No, I think it's very necessary. We have big scale, but it's unrealistic to think that any company, it doesn't matter the sector, it doesn't matter the size, can tackle some of the issues on its own. I would like to collect all the plastic, I don't know how many million tons that are in the landfills in Malaysia. I cannot do it. No, we need to find partnerships. I'm very proud of this partnership that we built with another 10 companies, MAREA, the Malaysian Recycling Alliance, which is also a step as an industry to say we can fight fiercely in the shops, but we can also do good together, no? And that's something that is still, it's probably taking us time to gain sufficient traction, but it's ongoing. This door-to-door collection project that is 100% Nestle is done in partnership with 4 municipalities, with KPT Recycling, and it's bringing results. I mean, we are reaching 112,000 households across 4 cities in Selangor and some neighborhoods in KL. We extended it recently to rural areas, which is where actually the biggest challenge is. And we see that people is willing to participate. I visit many of these communities. I was in this Sungai Kandis, which is quite a modest area, but you see that people has their little houses with the garden, they take care of it, they keep their house clean. They don't like to be surrounded by plastic waste. And the minute you provide an effective use, or an effective way of getting rid of it and separating and the proper way for recycling, they jump in. In the neighborhoods where we are doing this door-to-door collection, the level of participation is close to 85%.
Very good.
Which means that Malaysians are willing to do the right thing. What we collectively, industry, government, different stakeholders, is need to provide the tools, the basic infrastructure to make sure that that little effort is worthy for them. Because sometimes, there is a lot of hesitation. Okay, I separate, but where does it finish? I'm not sure. So I will not go into specifics.
Remove the objection and show that it's actually... There's always, I've heard the comment that people think that you separate, then it all goes back into one big bucket and off.
Exactly.
And if they can see that that's not the case, then they buy in, and then we begin to change behaviour. One, you've worked in a number of different countries. Nestle, of course, is a global company. If you could share with us, what are some of the benefits and challenges in executing sustainability in Malaysia?
I think benefits, firstly, is that there is some good disposition to adopt change. Probably the main deficit is more on some missing infrastructures. I make you an example. So we moved to 100% recycled PET, but for us it's difficult to get the raw material, the recycled pellets, made in Malaysia, no? Because there is not sufficient production or the right kind of factories that can do what we need, no? We don't have it here, but for instance, you can turn the plastic, can be turned in a resin that can be reprocessed again into recycled polypropylene that can be used to do new flexible packaging. But this one, again, we can do it technically, but there is not the industrial partners to do it yet, no? So we are trying to find with some of the petrochemical players in the country if we can find a way, no, to do this locally. But I would say the main challenge, if you talk plastic specifically, maybe is this very, the infrastructure could be better, especially in the areas that are a little bit more remote, more rural, less developed, is where, with little, a lot could be done.
Okay. If I may, and just moving on to our last question, and the last question, if I may, is what would you like to share with the audience about removing the objection around ESG?
Well, the first thing is, and if the audience are CEOs, is what would you like to be remembered for? For those 2 extra cents of dividend that you pay this or that year, or for having put in place a program that has made your community better? For me, that's the fundamental reflection. I mean, many of the leaders that will be watching this interview have kids, have maybe grandsons. So what do you want to leave them? That you were a very successful manager generating great shareholder return, which of course you have to, then that's our job. But what else? For me, it's what else? And what can you do?
You've got to strike that balance.
Yeah.
And if I may, we just have to ask that one question that Juan has really raised is, what is our purpose?
Yeah.
Thank you, Juan.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Great pleasure, Datuk Kumar. Good. Thank you.